Imagine walking through a fog-laden forest in North Carolina in 1877, the air thick with the scent of earth and smoke, when suddenly a figure emerges that defies everything you know about the human form. A single body, yet three heads gaze at you, each with its own expression, its own consciousness, its own awareness. Fear and fascination collide within you, and your mind races to comprehend what you are seeing. In that moment, you are not merely witnessing a biological anomaly. You are standing at the threshold of the unknown, confronting a mystery that reflects not only the world around you, but the hidden multiplicities within yourself. In the year 1877, North Carolina existed in a liminal space between the past and the future, a society attempting to stitch together the torn fabric of its identity following the turbulent years of the Civil War and the Reconstruction era. The land itself seemed steeped in the residue of conflict, its rivers carrying whispers of old battles, and its forests shadowing secrets that had never fully surfaced. Communities were oscillating between an uneasy hope and a gnawing uncertainty, as the structures of governance, social order, and cultural cohesion were being renegotiated. Into this world emerged the story of the three-headed twins, a phenomenon so extraordinary that it pierced through the layers of ordinary experience, creating a fissure in the communal understanding of reality and imagination. The anomaly of their existence was more than a mere spectacle. It became a focal point through which the fears, anxieties, and unspoken yearnings of a society could manifest. In a region still grappling with the echoes of war, where every individual carried both the visible scars and the hidden trauma of the past, the emergence of such an anomaly was charged with symbolic significance. The twins were not merely corporeal beings. They were mirrors, reflecting the fractured consciousness of a society struggling to reconcile memory, morality, and the mysteries of human existence. The post-Reconstruction landscape was characterized by uncertainty on multiple levels: political, economic, and psychological. Freedmen were navigating the precarious space between emancipation and systemic oppression, and white communities were reckoning with a loss of control over the social hierarchy that had previously governed life with brutal clarity. In this context, the sudden appearance of the three-headed twins struck a chord that resonated far beyond simple curiosity or medical intrigue. To witness an anomaly of nature, at a time when human institutions themselves seemed unstable, created a peculiar tension between the tangible and the symbolic, between what could be empirically understood and what remained inscrutable. The very existence of the twins suggested that beneath the surface of ordinary life lay forces that could not be tamed, categorized, or rationalized, echoing the collective anxieties of a society struggling to regain equilibrium in the aftermath of social upheaval. The geographic and cultural setting of North Carolina also amplified the resonance of such a phenomenon. The state, with its rolling hills, dense forests, and isolated rural communities, carried a natural predisposition for folklore, superstition, and the whispered transmission of stories that blended reality with myth. In a region where isolation fostered both creativity and fear, the appearance of the three-headed twins became a locus for projection, enabling individuals and communities to externalize their hidden fears, moral concerns, and existential questions onto a figure that was simultaneously real and ineffably strange. The anomaly disrupted conventional categories of human experience, challenging both the intellectual frameworks and the moral imaginations of those who encountered it. The twins became a living emblem of the tension between known and unknown, embodying the latent potential for disruption inherent in both human nature and the natural world. Their presence could not be contained within ordinary social or scientific discourse, for it pointed to dimensions of life that eluded classification, yet demanded acknowledgement, reflection, and interpretation. In addition, the social and religious dynamics of 1877 North Carolina shaped the way the phenomenon was perceived and interpreted. Many communities were deeply spiritual, often viewing extraordinary events through a moral or supernatural lens. The three-headed twins were inevitably cast into these frameworks of understanding, becoming symbols that could embody either divine intervention, a test of faith, or a portent of impending misfortune. This symbolic framing allowed communities to process what might otherwise have been incomprehensible, transforming a biological anomaly into a narrative laden with moral and existential significance. The tension between science and superstition, between curiosity and fear, created a dynamic that amplified the twins' impact on the collective psyche. Their story transcended the limitations of biology or medicine, entering a realm in which the symbolic function of human perception and imagination took precedence over empirical verification. The historical backdrop also emphasizes the fragility of memory and the selective nature of historical documentation. In 1877, information traveled slowly, and rumors, hearsay, and local legend often merged indistinguishably with reported facts. The twins' existence was mediated through these channels, filtered by the biases, fears, and narrative inclinations of those who observed or recounted the phenomenon. In this sense, the story of the three-headed twins is inseparable from the historical processes that shaped both public perception and private interpretation. Their narrative illuminates how societies construct meaning from events that exceed conventional understanding, and how cultural, social, and psychological contexts determine what is remembered, sensationalized, or forgotten. The anomaly functions as a prism through which the intersection of historical fact, communal imagination, and individual consciousness can be observed, demonstrating the profound ways in which human societies grapple with phenomena that disrupt ordinary experience. Furthermore, the historical moment of 1877 was one in which the boundaries between the rational and the irrational, the known and the unknowable, were particularly porous. Scientific inquiry was advancing, yet medical understanding of congenital anomalies remained rudimentary. Public fascination with extraordinary births, deformities, and monstrous figures reflected a deeper engagement with questions of human nature, mortality, and the limits of control over life itself. The three-headed twins became a focal point for this engagement, a site where the limitations of knowledge intersected with the intensities of fear and wonder. To witness or hear of the twins was to confront, simultaneously, the fragility of the human body, the unpredictability of nature, and the unresolved tensions within human consciousness. In this light, the phenomenon transcends the purely factual and enters a symbolic dimension, where the anomaly serves as a representation of broader historical, psychological, and social dynamics at work within the community. The twins also symbolize the tension between individuality and multiplicity, both within the personal and collective spheres, a tension that was mirrored in the fractured society of 1877 North Carolina. The presence of three heads on a single body evokes questions about identity, autonomy, and interdependence, reflecting the societal struggle to reconcile disparate elements of life disrupted by war, political instability, and cultural transition. Each head might be seen as a different voice, a different perspective, a fragment of consciousness negotiating existence within a shared framework. This multiplicity echoes the broader multiplicities within society, the competing interests, values, and ideologies that were negotiating coexistence in a fragile and evolving social landscape. In this way, the twins become a symbolic embodiment of the historical moment itself, an externalization of the tensions, contradictions, and possibilities inherent in a society attempting to define itself amidst uncertainty. Finally, the emergence of such a phenomenon within a specific historical context underscores the intimate interplay between human consciousness and environment. The appearance of the twins was not merely an isolated biological event. It was a cultural and psychological phenomenon shaped by the particularities of place, time, and social circumstance. In rural North Carolina, where stories of the extraordinary were both feared and cherished, where religious interpretation and moral speculation guided perception, and where the remnants of conflict lingered in the air, the twins became a living symbol of the unknown, a nexus point where historical forces, social anxieties, and archetypal symbolism converged. Their story exemplifies the profound interconnection between historical context and the reception of phenomena that challenge human understanding, revealing how a single anomaly can illuminate the psychic and social realities of an entire era. The physical reality of the three-headed twins presents a phenomenon that is at once profoundly biological and intensely symbolic, occupying a space where the boundaries between the observable and the incomprehensible blur. In contemplating the anomaly, one cannot help but confront the raw confrontation between what is familiar and what is utterly strange, a confrontation that touches both the intellect and the deepest layers of the human psyche. The twins' three heads were not merely anatomical curiosities. They were living embodiments of multiplicity and complexity, physical manifestations of an inner reality that humans encounter in metaphorical and psychological forms. In their very existence, the twins challenge the presumption of singularity and uniformity that underpins conventional understandings of human identity, compelling observers to reckon with questions that extend far beyond the merely biological, into the realms of consciousness, perception, and the symbolic imagination. To begin with, the sheer physical anomaly of the three-headed twins evokes a visceral response rooted in both fascination and terror. The human mind is calibrated to recognize patterns, to find order in the visible world, and when confronted with a figure that defies this order, the response is immediate and profound. The multiplicity of heads on a single body disrupts the expected coherence of human form, challenging the viewer's sense of bodily integrity and cognitive familiarity. This disruption is not simply a matter of medical curiosity. It activates the psychological mechanisms through which humans negotiate the unknown and the uncanny. The twins become a living paradox, a single entity that simultaneously embodies unity and multiplicity, forcing observers to confront a reality that exists outside of ordinary categories and defies conventional understanding. The physical anomaly, in this sense, is inseparable from its symbolic implications, because it confronts humanity with the limits of perception and comprehension, compelling the psyche to grapple with a figure that cannot be fully integrated into established schemas of meaning. The symbolic weight of such a physical anomaly is profound, particularly when considered through the lens of multiplicity and identity. Three heads on a single body suggest a coexistence of perspectives, consciousnesses, or modes of being within a unified vessel, prompting questions about the nature of selfhood, agency, and internal coherence. Is each head an independent consciousness, a distinct observer interpreting the world through its own lens? Or are they manifestations of a singular, multifaceted mind experiencing itself in triplicate? The ambiguity inherent in this question mirrors a broader psychological reality. Human beings themselves are never purely singular in consciousness, but are composed of myriad facets, contradictions, and latent voices that negotiate dominance, suppression, or integration within the mind. The twins, in this sense, embody an externalized dramatization of the internal multiplicity inherent in every human psyche, rendering visible the fragmentation and complexity that usually remain hidden beneath the surface of experience. Their form serves as a mirror, reflecting the tension between unity and division, between coherence and fragmentation, that resides within the self and the collective human imagination. The anomaly of the three-headed twins also speaks to the human tendency to project meaning onto that which is extraordinary or incomprehensible. In encountering their physical form, observers are compelled to interpret, narrativize, and contextualize what they see. The three heads invite metaphorical readings, whether consciously or unconsciously, acting as a canvas for projections of cultural fears, desires, and moral judgments. Each head may be perceived as representing a different aspect of human nature: reason, emotion, and instinct, past, present, and future, conformity, rebellion, and intuition. These projected interpretations are not arbitrary. They emerge from the deep structures of human cognition and the archetypal patterns that shape imagination and collective understanding. The twins' physical anomaly functions as a symbolic device, enabling a society to engage with profound existential questions through the lens of a concrete, albeit extraordinary phenomenon. By confronting the three-headed twins, observers are not merely witnessing a biological oddity, they are engaging with the symbolic terrain of human consciousness itself. Furthermore, the twins' physical reality operates as a bridge between the known and the unknown, embodying the tension between empirical observation and mystical or mythic interpretation. In the context of 19th century North Carolina, medical understanding of congenital anomalies was limited, and such an unprecedented anomaly could not be easily categorized within the frameworks of science available at the time. This epistemological limitation heightened the symbolic potency of the twins, for their physical form could be interpreted as a manifestation of forces beyond ordinary comprehension. They became a locus in which the visible and the invisible, the material and the spiritual, intersected. Their anomaly invoked both awe and fear, fascination and revulsion, and in this duality lies the richness of their symbolic significance. The twins' three heads were not simply anatomical curiosities. They were thresholds, doorways through which consciousness could confront both the strangeness of the external world and the hidden multiplicities of the self. The anomaly also resonates with deeper themes of wholeness and fragmentation. In traditional psychological symbolism, the human body is often treated as a microcosm of identity, a vessel through which inner processes are expressed outwardly. The three-headed form challenges the assumption of singular, linear identity, suggesting instead that the self is composed of interdependent, overlapping, and sometimes conflicting aspects. This form externalizes an inner psychological reality, the coexistence of competing voices, the tension between conscious awareness and unconscious drives, and the perpetual negotiation of coherence within complexity. The anomaly, therefore, functions as a symbolic dramatization of the very human experience of multiplicity, the internal struggle to reconcile disparate facets of being into a functioning whole. The physical form of the twins enacts this struggle visibly, allowing observers to engage imaginatively with a phenomenon that mirrors their own inner dynamics in exaggerated, uncanny form. Finally, the three-headed twins anomaly operates as a testament to the liminal, threshold experiences that define both individual and collective human consciousness. They occupy a space between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the natural and the supernatural, the comprehensible and the unknowable. Their form challenges observers to expand their understanding of possibility, to confront the limitations of conventional categories, and to grapple with ambiguity and paradox. In this regard, the twins' physical reality is inseparable from its symbolic resonance. The anomaly embodies both the tension and the potential inherent in encountering the extraordinary, serving as a living emblem of the human capacity to face, interpret, and integrate the unknown. Through their existence, the three-headed twins illuminate the profound interplay between physical reality and symbolic meaning, demonstrating how an extraordinary anomaly can reveal deeper truths about the psyche, the self, and the collective human imagination. The story of the three-headed twins evokes in its observers a complex interplay of fear and curiosity, an oscillation that speaks directly to the architecture of the human psyche and the mechanisms through which societies process the extraordinary. When faced with an anomaly so unprecedented, so radically different from the familiar rhythms of human life, individuals do not respond with mere neutrality. Rather, they are compelled to engage with it on multiple levels simultaneously, both conscious and unconscious. The twins' three-headed form challenges ordinary perception and comprehension, and in doing so it triggers a profound confrontation with the unknown, a confrontation that reveals both personal and collective dimensions of human experience. Fear arises not only from the recognition of difference, but also from the implicit suggestion that the established order of reality, the assumptions about identity, coherence, and bodily integrity, is not absolute. Curiosity, in turn, emerges as a countervailing force, the mind's drive to explore, to understand, and to integrate experiences that lie at the margins of comprehension. These two forces, fear and curiosity, operate in a dynamic tension, shaping both individual responses and the broader patterns of societal engagement with the phenomenon. Fear, in the context of the three-headed twins, is multifaceted. On one level, it is visceral and instinctive, rooted in the perception of bodily anomaly and the disruption of expected form. The human mind is attuned to regularity and pattern, and the sight of a single body bearing multiple heads violates the deeply ingrained expectations of human anatomy. Such a violation generates a sense of unease, a recognition that the familiar and safe contours of the human experience have been challenged. This fear is not purely aesthetic. It resonates on psychological and archetypal levels, tapping into the primal human response to the uncanny. The uncanny is that which is simultaneously familiar and strange, that which elicits both recognition and alienation. The three-headed twins embody this tension perfectly, for while the body is recognizably human, the multiplicity of heads introduces a radical otherness that is impossible to ignore, impossible to assimilate within the ordinary schemas of understanding. The observer is confronted with an entity that straddles the boundary between the real and the extraordinary, evoking a deep, instinctive fear of the unknown. At the same time, curiosity emerges as a parallel response, compelling humans to engage with that which frightens them. Curiosity is the mind's attempt to make sense of ambiguity, to explore the unknown and bring coherence to phenomena that resist easy categorization. In the case of the three-headed twins, curiosity manifests as a desire to observe, question, and interpret, to seek explanations for what appears to defy natural laws. This drive is deeply psychological, reflecting a fundamental human need to reconcile experience with meaning, to transform uncertainty into narrative. Curiosity and fear are thus intertwined, forming a dialectic in which the very intensity of fear amplifies the desire for understanding. The twins' anomaly becomes a catalyst for imaginative engagement, drawing the observer into a process of projection, speculation, and symbolic interpretation. In this way, the twins do more than inspire wonder. They function as a mirror, reflecting the psychological processes through which humans encounter, interpret, and integrate that which lies beyond the familiar. The collective dimension of this response is equally significant. Fear and curiosity are not experienced in isolation but are shaped by social and cultural context, emerging within the framework of communal values, beliefs, and anxieties. In 1877 North Carolina, communities were grappling with the residual effects of social upheaval, political instability, and shifting moral paradigms. Within this setting, the appearance of the three-headed twins resonated with broader patterns of collective emotion, becoming a symbolic locus in which communal fears, hopes, and moral concerns could be projected and explored. The twins were not simply medical curiosities. They were social phenomena, catalysts for discourse, legend, and moral reflection. Communities responded by narrativizing the anomaly, integrating it into frameworks of folklore, superstition, and emerging scientific curiosity. Through this process, the twins functioned as a canvas for the projection of collective unconscious content, enabling societies to engage symbolically with the tensions and uncertainties that they could not resolve directly in everyday life. This interplay of fear and curiosity also illuminates the psychological function of projection and externalization. In encountering the twins, observers inevitably imbued them with meanings that extended far beyond their physical form, attributing qualities, intentions, or moral significance to the anomaly. Such projections reveal the mechanisms through which societies externalize internal conflicts, desires, and anxieties onto external phenomena. The twins' multiple heads became vessels for exploring questions of morality, identity, and human nature. Were they omens or portents? Were they miraculous or monstrous? Each interpretation, consciously or unconsciously, reflects the psychic needs and tensions of the observer, as well as the broader cultural environment in which meaning is constructed. In this sense, the anomaly functions as both a stimulus for imaginative engagement and a mirror in which the psychological content of individuals and communities becomes visible, tangible, and narrativized. The phenomenon also touches upon deeper archetypal structures that shape human understanding. Multiple heads have long been symbolic in myth and folklore, often representing multiplicity of consciousness, wisdom, vigilance, or internal conflict. In the case of the three-headed twins, the anomaly resonates with these archetypal motifs, providing a tangible instantiation of themes that exist in the collective imagination. The twins' physical form embodies the tension between unity and division, between singularity and multiplicity, reflecting the broader dynamics of human consciousness in which multiple facets, voices, and impulses coexist, compete, and sometimes conflict. The fear and curiosity elicited by the anomaly are thus not merely reactions to physical strangeness but engagements with deep symbolic truths. encounters with the structures of meaning and psyche that inform human perception and understanding. Moreover, the twins' story illuminates the role of narrative and myth-making in mediating the human encounter with the unknown. Fear alone can be paralyzing, curiosity alone can be disorienting, but together they generate the conditions for storytelling, legend formation, and cultural memory. The anomaly becomes a catalyst for collective imagination, prompting individuals to weave explanations, create moral frameworks, and integrate the extraordinary into the fabric of communal experience. In this process, the anomaly is transformed from a purely biological curiosity into a symbolic and psychological event, one that continues to resonate in memory and myth. The oscillation between fear and curiosity ensures that the phenomenon is neither wholly rejected nor wholly assimilated, but occupies a liminal space in which it continues to stimulate reflection, imagination, and symbolic interpretation. Finally, the encounter with the three-headed twins illustrates the enduring human fascination with the unknown and the uncanny, highlighting the mechanisms by which fear and curiosity interact to shape perception, imagination, and social meaning. In facing an anomaly that defies conventional understanding, humans are compelled to engage in a complex psychological process, negotiating uncertainty, projecting meaning, and integrating experience into symbolic and narrative frameworks. The twins' existence thus functions not only as a historical curiosity, but as a profound lens through which to examine the dynamics of collective psyche, the interplay of emotion and cognition, and the processes by which societies confront phenomena that lie at the edge of comprehension. Through the lens of fear and curiosity, the story of the three-headed twins transcends its immediate historical moment, becoming a timeless reflection on human consciousness, imagination, and the symbolic engagement with the unknown. The anomaly of the three-headed twins presents a profound challenge to conventional notions of identity, compelling observers to confront the very nature of selfhood, individuality, and the coherence of consciousness. At first glance, the image of three heads sharing a single body evokes astonishment, curiosity, and sometimes fear. But beneath these immediate reactions lies a deeper, archetypal significance. The twins become a living manifestation of the psychological tension between unity and multiplicity, between the singular self and the fragmented self. In every human being, consciousness is not a monolithic entity, but a composite of conflicting impulses, latent desires, and diverse modes of thought. The three-headed twins externalize this inner multiplicity, making visible what is ordinarily hidden: the complexity, contradictions, and multiplicity that define human identity. Their form forces a confrontation with questions that are both personal and universal. How can multiple aspects of consciousness coexist within a single vessel? How does a singular being reconcile competing impulses, conflicting voices, or divergent desires? In this sense, the twins serve as both a biological anomaly and a symbolic archetype, dramatizing the internal experience of fragmentation that exists in all human minds. The psychological resonance of the twins' form becomes evident when considering the implications of multiple heads sharing a single body. Each head can be imagined as a separate locus of perception, a distinct observer interpreting the world through its own lens, while simultaneously being inextricably linked to the shared body. This raises fundamental questions about agency, autonomy, and interdependence. If one head perceives danger or desire, does it act in harmony with the others? Or is there tension between competing directives? The image evokes a profound metaphor for the human experience, where the self is rarely unified in perfect harmony, but instead navigates internal multiplicity. Human consciousness itself contains multiple voices. Rationality, emotion, instinct, memory, and imagination all coexist within the mind, sometimes cooperating, sometimes conflicting. The twins' form renders this internal complexity external and tangible, allowing observers to reflect symbolically on their own fragmented identities. The anomaly acts as a mirror, revealing the multiplicity within the self and dramatizing the perpetual negotiation between coherence and division that characterizes human existence. The tension between individuality and shared identity is further accentuated in the symbolic dimension of the anomaly. In the twins, each head is both autonomous and inseparable from the others, creating a paradoxical dynamic in which independence and interdependence coexist simultaneously. This mirrors the broader human struggle to reconcile conflicting aspects of the psyche. Individuals often contain contradictory impulses, moral tensions, and competing desires that must be integrated or balanced to achieve a sense of wholeness. The three-headed twins externalize this psychological reality in physical form, dramatizing the challenge of maintaining coherence in the presence of multiplicity. Observers are compelled to consider the ways in which identity is constructed, negotiated, and maintained, both internally and in relation to the world. The anomaly invites reflection on the paradoxical nature of selfhood, the recognition that the self is never singular in experience, but is always a complex constellation of interacting forces. The twins' form also illuminates the interplay between consciousness and embodiment. Identity is often conceived as an internal mental phenomenon, yet the anomaly demonstrates that physical form itself can profoundly influence the perception of selfhood. Three heads on a single body challenge the assumption that identity can be neatly contained within a single, coherent physical vessel. The shared body creates constraints, dependencies, and interactions that shape the functioning of each head, suggesting that consciousness is inseparable from corporeal reality. This dynamic invites reflection on the broader psychological principle that the self is both mental and embodied, and that our identities are shaped as much by our physical existence as by internal thought. The twins' form dramatizes the tension between autonomy and constraint, highlighting the ways in which identity is negotiated within the interdependent interplay of mind, body, and environment. At the collective level, the anomaly provides insight into societal responses to identity and difference. In a society grappling with norms, hierarchies, and moral frameworks, the existence of the three-headed twins presents a challenge to conventional definitions of what constitutes a person or an individual. Communities are forced to confront their own assumptions about identity, recognizing the tension between uniqueness and conformity, singularity and multiplicity. The twins' existence becomes a site for projecting fears, anxieties, and moral judgments, revealing the ways in which collective consciousness grapples with difference. In this context, the twins function as a symbolic mirror, not only for individual identity, but also for the identity of society itself, reflecting the tensions, contradictions, and unresolved dynamics within the cultural psyche. The phenomenon also carries profound implications for understanding psychological fragmentation more broadly. Fragmentation, in its deepest sense, is not merely a disorder or anomaly, but a natural aspect of human consciousness. Humans are composed of multiple layers, conscious and unconscious, rational and instinctual, individual and social. These layers often exist in tension, sometimes in conflict, sometimes in harmony. The three-headed twins dramatize this reality in an extreme visible form, allowing observers to confront the paradoxes of the mind and the multiplicity inherent in the self. Their existence becomes a lens through which the dynamics of integration, repression, and internal negotiation can be explored symbolically. The twins' form emphasizes the necessity of acknowledging, confronting, and reconciling these internal multiplicities in order to approach wholeness, both personally and collectively. Finally, the three-headed twins evoke a timeless reflection on the nature of identity, continuity, and selfhood. They remind us that identity is not fixed, singular, or easily defined, but is instead a dynamic, multifaceted, and sometimes contradictory process. Each head, while connected to a shared body, represents a distinct perspective, highlighting the complex interplay of autonomy and interdependence that defines human existence. The twins' anomaly externalizes the inner fragmentation of the psyche, dramatizing the perennial human struggle to integrate multiplicity into a coherent sense of self. In contemplating their form, observers are invited to explore not only the mysteries of physical anomaly, but also the profound psychological truths about the multiplicity of consciousness, the tension between unity and division, and the ongoing negotiation of identity that characterizes the human experience. The story of the three-headed twins of 1877 did not simply vanish because of the passage of time. It slipped into obscurity through a complex interplay of cultural processes, selective memory, and the psychology of forgetting. Societies have long struggled to integrate events, anomalies, or truths that challenge established frameworks of understanding, and the twins' existence epitomizes this phenomenon. Their story, so extraordinary, so dissonant with the ordinary rhythms of life, required a confrontation with ideas that destabilized accepted norms, beliefs, and the collective sense of coherence. In forgetting the twins, or relegating them to the margins of history, communities enacted a process of cultural amnesia, a selective forgetting that preserves comfort and order while repressing the unsettling, the extraordinary, or the inexplicable. This act of collective forgetting is not merely an absence of record. It is a symbolic process, revealing the mechanisms through which societies negotiate fear, curiosity, and moral comprehension. The anomaly's disappearance from common memory reflects society's ambivalence toward phenomena that expose the fragility of perceived order and the limits of comprehension, and it illustrates the dynamic between myth-making, memory, and the repression of unsettling truths. The twins' story, once present in the lived reality of 1877 North Carolina, was gradually transformed into myth, legend, and folklore, illustrating the human need to narrativize the extraordinary. When confronted with a phenomenon that defies easy understanding, societies frequently turn to narrative structures that situate the event within familiar symbolic, moral, or archetypal frameworks. The three-headed twins, with their physical multiplicity and inscrutable nature, became more than an anomaly. They became vessels for collective imagination. Communities projected onto them meanings, moral lessons, and warnings, situating the twins in a symbolic space that transcended mere biology. In this way, myth-making functions as a cognitive and cultural strategy, allowing individuals and societies to integrate extraordinary experiences without destabilizing their fundamental assumptions about the world. The twins, once corporeal and immediate, became increasingly mediated through story, memory, and legend, their existence refracted through layers of interpretation that reflect the psychological and cultural needs of those who recounted their tale. Cultural amnesia surrounding the twins illustrates how societies selectively encode and repress memory. Humans, individually and collectively, tend to remember that which reinforces identity, moral cohesion, or social norms, while repressing that which threatens or destabilizes these constructs. The existence of the three-headed twins disrupted multiple assumptions. It challenged medical understanding, blurred categories of normalcy, and raised unsettling questions about identity, consciousness, and human limits. To preserve cultural coherence, communities often unconsciously engage in acts of forgetting or marginalization, relegating disruptive truths to the periphery of collective memory. This forgetting is not neutral, it is imbued with psychological purpose. By excluding the twins from the dominant narrative of history, society maintained the illusion of order and stability. Yet in doing so, it also repressed a symbolically rich anomaly that could have served as a mirror for collective fears, hopes, and tensions. The twins' absence from historical consciousness thus reflects not only social dynamics but also deep psychological mechanisms of repression, projection, and avoidance. At the intersection of myth, memory, and amnesia, the twins' story becomes a lens for examining the collective unconscious of a society. In obscuring or forgetting the anomaly, communities revealed their discomfort with multiplicity, ambiguity, and the unknown. The twins embodied contradictions, singularity and multiplicity, life and anomaly, fear and fascination, that society found difficult to integrate. By relegating their existence to legend or by allowing it to slip from historical memory, the community enacted a symbolic act of repression, pushing into the shadow what could not be assimilated into conscious understanding. Yet even in forgetting, the twins persisted as archetypes in the collective imagination, appearing in subtle traces in folklore, rumor, and cultural storytelling. Their story demonstrates the tension between the desire for coherence and the inevitability of the uncanny or extraordinary, highlighting how societies negotiate the boundaries of knowledge, memory, and myth. The process of mythologizing the twins also illuminates the function of narrative in human psychological development. Extraordinary phenomena demand interpretation. They invite symbolic reflection and imaginative engagement. In transforming the twins into myth, observers imbued them with significance that extended far beyond their physical anomaly. The three heads could symbolize multiplicity of consciousness, moral duality, or the struggle to reconcile conflicting impulses within a single being. These symbolic interpretations allowed communities to process the anomaly psychologically, integrating its unsettling presence into narratives that were meaningful, coherent, and socially functional. In this way, myth-making operates as both a protective and an interpretive mechanism, providing a structure through which fear, curiosity, and ambiguity can be explored without overwhelming the conscious mind or threatening the stability of social understanding. Furthermore, cultural amnesia surrounding the twins reveals the fragility of memory in shaping historical narrative. The selective remembrance or forgetting of extraordinary events demonstrates that history is not merely a record of facts, but a construction of meaning, mediated by social, cultural, and psychological imperatives. Events that destabilize norms, challenge comprehension, or evoke profound existential questions are often marginalized or omitted, leaving gaps in the collective understanding of the past. The three-headed twins serve as an example of this phenomenon, highlighting how anomalies are filtered through the lenses of cultural relevance, moral comfort, and symbolic significance. Their disappearance from the historical record is not a denial of reality, but a reflection of the interplay between perception, memory, and meaning-making, revealing how societies negotiate the tension between the extraordinary and the ordinary, the known and the unknown. Finally, the twins' story underscores the enduring tension between what is remembered and what is repressed, between lived reality and symbolic imagination. Their form and existence, so radical and compelling, could not be fully assimilated into everyday consciousness, yet neither could it be completely ignored. In slipping from historical memory while remaining alive in myth, legend, and imagination, the twins exemplify the dynamics of cultural memory, the oscillation between integration and repression, and the ways in which societies negotiate the presence of the uncanny. They remind us that memory is selective, shaped not only by empirical facts, but by the emotional, symbolic, and psychological needs of a community. The three-headed twins stand as a testament to the complex interplay between myth, memory, and cultural amnesia, revealing how the extraordinary is absorbed, transformed, and sometimes forgotten, yet continues to echo in the symbolic and archetypal dimensions of collective consciousness. The story of the three-headed twins of 1877, though anchored in a specific historical and geographical context, resonates far beyond its temporal confines, serving as a mirror through which modern consciousness can reflect upon enduring questions of identity, perception, and the human encounter with the unknown. The anomaly's significance is not merely historical or biological, it is psychological and symbolic, engaging timeless patterns within the human mind and collective imagination. In contemplating the twins, modern observers are invited to confront the ways in which fear, curiosity, and the recognition of multiplicity operate within both individual and collective consciousness. The three-headed twins are not simply a curiosity of the past. They are a living metaphor for the ongoing struggle to reconcile the known and the unknown, the singular and the multiple, the visible and the hidden. Their story becomes a lens through which contemporary society can examine the ways in which anomalies, whether physical, psychological, or social, reveal fundamental truths about perception, meaning-making, and human understanding. One of the most compelling aspects of the twins as a mirror for modern reflection is their embodiment of multiplicity within unity. In the contemporary context, this symbolism resonates with ongoing explorations of identity, consciousness, and social dynamics. Humans today, like those in 1877, navigate lives composed of multiple intersecting roles, perspectives, and impulses. Each individual embodies contradictions and tensions, balancing competing desires, social expectations, and internal drives. The three-headed twins, in their literal form, dramatize this multiplicity in stark, tangible terms. Each head might be imagined as representing a distinct perspective, a separate consciousness, or a unique aspect of selfhood, all operating within a shared framework. Modern observers can recognize in this anomaly a symbolic reflection of their own fragmented yet interdependent internal experiences, and by doing so, gain insight into the necessity of integrating multiplicity in order to achieve coherence, both psychologically and socially. The twins serve as a reminder that fragmentation is not merely anomaly or defect, but an intrinsic feature of human consciousness that demands reflection, engagement, and reconciliation. The twins also function as a mirror for how contemporary society engages with the unknown and the extraordinary. In a world increasingly defined by scientific knowledge, technological advancement, and empirical evidence, encounters with phenomena that resist categorization continue to evoke fear, curiosity, and imaginative projection. The twins' anomaly exemplifies the tension inherent in confronting what cannot be easily explained, the simultaneous attraction to and repulsion from the unfamiliar. Modern observers, like their 19th century counterparts, are compelled to negotiate this tension, oscillating between skepticism, fascination, and symbolic interpretation. The story of the twins, therefore, is not merely a historical curiosity, but a template for understanding the psychological dynamics of encountering the inexplicable. It illuminates the processes by which humans externalize inner conflicts, project meaning onto anomalies, and construct narratives that integrate or repress the extraordinary. In reflecting on the twins, modern audiences are encouraged to examine how they respond to difference, ambiguity, and the limits of comprehension, both individually and collectively. Furthermore, the twins invite contemplation of societal and cultural attitudes toward difference, otherness, and anomaly. In the modern era, questions of inclusion, diversity, and the recognition of variation remain central to social consciousness. The three-headed twins, by virtue of their physical anomaly, challenge assumptions about normalcy, singularity, and social expectation. Modern reflection upon their story illuminates the ways in which societies continue to grapple with the tension between conformity and acceptance of difference. Just as 19th century observers projected fears, moral judgments, and curiosity onto the twins, contemporary society negotiates its own anxieties and aspirations in relation to those who exist outside normative categories. The twins' story serves as a symbolic mirror, reflecting both the progress and the limitations of human empathy, understanding, and integration of the other, urging modern observers to confront the dynamics of projection, judgment, and acceptance within themselves and their communities. On a deeper psychological level, the anomaly invites reflection on the processes of consciousness itself. Each of the twins' heads can be imagined as a separate locus of perception, a distinct consciousness interpreting the world independently, yet bound to a shared body. This physical reality dramatizes an internal psychological truth. Consciousness is inherently multiple, layered, and complex. Modern reflection upon the twins can illuminate the ongoing negotiation between different facets of self, the integration of conflicting impulses, and the cultivation of a coherent yet flexible identity. By externalizing multiplicity in tangible form, the twins provide a symbolic framework for understanding the interplay between unity and fragmentation, internal dialogue and external action, autonomy and interdependence. In this way, they become more than a historical anomaly. They are a mirror in which modern observers can explore the dynamics of consciousness, identity, and psychological wholeness. The twins' story also raises profound questions about memory, myth, and the persistence of forgotten truths. In contemporary society, as in the past, extraordinary phenomena often slip from immediate record, only to persist in shadowed corners of consciousness, folklore, or imagination. Reflecting upon the twins allows modern observers to examine the mechanisms by which cultural memory is constructed, mediated, and sometimes suppressed. What is remembered? What is forgotten? What truths are integrated, and which are relegated to myth, rumor, or oblivion? These questions resonate with broader concerns about historical narrative, collective consciousness, and the symbolic management of knowledge and anomaly. The twins' disappearance from historical prominence serves as a cautionary mirror, illustrating the fragility of memory and the necessity of attending to what has been forgotten, repressed, or marginalized in order to gain a fuller understanding of both history and human psychology. Finally, the anomaly of the three-headed twins functions as a timeless invitation to introspection, imagination, and symbolic engagement. Their story urges modern observers to confront multiplicity within themselves, to acknowledge and integrate hidden or conflicting aspects of consciousness, and to cultivate a capacity for curiosity and reflection in the face of the unknown. The twins challenge both individual and collective assumptions about identity, normalcy, and perception, and in doing so, they illuminate enduring truths about human consciousness and the processes through which meaning is constructed. In reflecting on their anomaly, modern audiences are invited to consider not only the historical and biological dimensions of the twins, but also the symbolic, psychological, and archetypal lessons embedded in their existence. The three-headed twins of 1877, though long forgotten in mainstream history, endure as a mirror for modern reflection, revealing the persistent dynamics of multiplicity, fear, curiosity, and the human engagement with mystery that define both individual and collective experience.